link. It is 3:48 on October 14th, and the Cleveland Browns are dead. The offense failed to score a single touchdown. It's going to take just a few kneel downs now for the Philadelphia Eagles to secure a 20-16 victory. And even though there were some slight improvements in certain areas, and Myles Garrett is a superhuman player, the reality of the situation is, boys, Rodney McLeod is tied for second on the Browns in touchdowns, and he plays defense after 6 games. An unacceptable, and frankly pathetic ending to a season that had the highest of high expectations. Earl the Pearl, G. Bush, it is the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, 2-minute warning post-game show. And I can't believe that on October 14th, before 4 o'clock in week 6, you could put a fork in the Browns and kiss it goodbye, G. The season's over.
Yep. It's actually funny at this point because it's not like they're a couple of plays away. They are just in every aspect of the game just inept. You can go into all of the what was happening on the field, and what I will say to people is, if you believe that this is going to be fixable by doing one or two things to this team, you just don't know the game of football. You still having bust on the goal line, guys false start, and you're still having your quarterback missing wide open guys in the first part of the game, not getting rid of the football. You still have your coach inexplicably running plays, a jet motion sweep to the slowest guy on the field. I mean, you guys have it all over the place. Greg Newsome can't cover a simple crossing route. Guys it's just every aspect of the game. And it's evident because you see guys like Myles Garrett who tried to single-handedly keep these guys into the football game. But at this point, it's disgusting. It's just season's done, and I want to see massive changes across the board when it comes to moving forward now, because I got to figure out what this team is moving forward. I got to figure out of is the play calling, the quarterback, the coach, whatever the case may be. Put Jameis Winston in the game and get the play calling over to Dorsey. Chalk it up.
I got to get a Browns credit for at least trying to run the football today. I got to get a Browns credit for at least trying to put forth a better performance than they had put forth in the weeks prior. Mike G, I came into this game, I had already attempted to plea down, right? The Cleveland Browns was like somebody, how somebody on trial facing murder, and it's not a case of whether they did it or not. It's okay, you did this. Let me see if I can get you manslaughter. And so I went into this game. I didn't expect the Browns to win. But you know what? I came like, well, maybe they can cover the spread. Maybe they'll play well enough to cover the spread. And they did that. And it's a damn shame that at week 6, this is where we are, to where we're playing down for the Browns to just play well enough not to get blown out. It's unfortunate that a season that had so much promise, had so much hope, is already over after 6 weeks. The numbers say, man, you don't make the playoffs after 1-5. I think at this point, man, you probably need to look at certain veterans on his team and consider shopping some of these dudes for draft picks, man. I think it's time to tear this thing down clearly and start over. Like, even when the Browns played better, it still didn't look good. I think at one point we had like 8 rushes and 9 passes as far as play selection, and the 9 passes was for a combined 7 yards. So like whatever is going on, it's just not working. G is right. Like, it's inept across the board. I think we're all tired. We all ready for this thing to just be torn down. Massive changes is necessary, man. Let's just kind of like start that right now.
It's disappointing across every facet. The defense played its best game of the season, in my opinion. They did their part. They scored a touchdown. The offense couldn't deliver. I thought Deshaun on that last drive made some really nice throws. They even got the phantom face mask, which, can you explain to me? He had his face mask. You could see it on the replay. But I feel like that happens all the time in football and doesn't always get called. I mean, I understand if it was a common call, but I don't know. I didn't like that call. They go back to 1st and 25, and they still convert. And then on 3rd down and 10, he threads the needle to Amari Cooper on a slant. They're within the 8-yard line. The first play in the red zone, or with the goal to go, they run a little dump off to Elijah Moore. And then it's a false start and a false start, G. It's self-inflicted wounds. They can't get out of their own way. And I love the Jonathan Vilma, who I thought did a pretty good job. Him and Kenny Albert did a really good job on the call today. He said Stefanski has to start holding some of these guys more accountable and changing up something, because week after week after week, regardless of who's in there, it's not the same culprit. Yeah, we could say a lot of times it's Jed Wills, but it's also been Bitonio, Teller, Pochich, Nick Harris, DeJuan, Jack Conklin, whoever it was, whoever's in on that offensive line are committing these mindless penalties, and it seems to have no repercussions on what happens, and you can't overcome little things like that in paper cuts when the reality of this offense is it's not good. And when you're not good, you can't overcome the defense and yourself. And through 6 weeks, G, it is once again another historically bad showing for a Cleveland Browns offense that has shown us literally nothing in a month and a half now. Literally nothing.
So here's what I'm gonna say. And I was on Twitter, and they rightfully pointed out the throws that Deshaun Watson has to make. There was a play that David Njoku was there on a dump down. He should have dumped it to him. There's plays where, inexplicably you're not getting the ball. He threw the ball out of bounds one time to Jerry Jeudy. And I called those plays out. I said, listen, that's a horrible throw. There was a horrible throw to David Njoku, and I'm sure you're gonna bring that up with Sean, and we'll go over this. But we will talk about this. And I'm gonna, at this point, we're 1-5. I'm gonna let people know something right now. If you want to see somebody derail the show, come into Monday talking about, it's the quarterback. There's a sequence where the Browns block a kick, they get the ball, they score 10 up. You get the ball at halftime. Earl pointed out, we're getting some nice runs. Deontay Foreman is running the ball. We're working our way down the field. We get to a 4th and 1, and our 2-time head coach of the year lines up in some funky little formation and runs a jet sweep inside the red zone, a jet sweep to Cedric Tillman on 4th down.
It's bad.
Not only do you cost your team points because we missed the field goal in the very next play. Not only did you cost your team points, you cost your team momentum, and the energy just flew out. You got an opportunity to be up 17 points. And I need people to understand this. If we're going to sit here and we're going to talk about the players, I don't know if you guys are texting back and forth with the coach. I don't know if he's promising you interviews, but I will be damned if we come in here Monday and we have this conversation about why it's the quarterback and only the quarterback. By the way, I'm on record saying I would have already played Jameis Winston last week, so don't give me that stuff about G. Bush don't know what he's talking about and he on the payroll. I said he would have been sitting, but it's time out for Kevin Stefanski calling these types of plays. And then the very next series, your defense gets to stop. You are in the shadow of your goal line, and you come out the first play and 5 wide, and you get a sack. Your quarterback's not seeing the field well. You're not running the football well. Your offensive line can't pick up stunts. What are you doing? The running game is working. And I talk about it all the time. There's a couple of plays here or there where you have an opportunity to make your mark into win a football game. And guess what? Your head coach took food off the table. As a man, you never take food off your table. You don't take food off your kid's table. I need every single dime I got. We need every single point that we can muster. And your head coach decides to sit here and call that play. And I guarantee you, there's 23 guys, 24 guys that get minutes that are looking at your head coach like, what the is that? And that's what we got going. We talk about Sirianni. Like, I'm just waiting to figure out people so they can get in the text group and figure out why that wasn't that bad of a call. I'm waiting for it, though.
Has anyone defended Stefanski this year, G? Because I think we're all in conclusion, or we're all in unison that he's done a pretty piss poor job this year. Like, in terms of game management, preparation, discipline. Against Jacksonville, when Jerome Ford had that 34-yard rush on 4th and 1 from the same kind of flex bone 4th and short, Jameis Winston package. Like, I like that play call. I hated the play call today. I think he gets too cute, but I don't think anyone has given Stefanski a pass this year. He's been bad. Like, he's objectively been bad.
But what I'm talking about is the diminishing part of it. Like, no, you can't. Like, at some point, you are the head football coach. You are responsible for everything that happens. And the point that I'm making is there is this thing where it's like, oh, yeah, Stefanski's been pretty bad. And that's it. No, there's repercussions for that. There are repercussions for that. And one of them is this. Listen, I'm just be honest with you. I'm tired of the experiment. I don't want to see him calling plays. Give it to somebody else, because you can't get guys to stop jumping off sides. You can't get guys to stop false starting. You can't even figure out what you're supposed to be running. You know what the Eagles did? 4th and 1, they ran it down your throat. They got on the line and ran a simple dive play. How's about you try that? It's easy. Hand the ball to a fullback or quarterback sneak, not Cedric Tillman.
Earl, did you hate that play as much as we did?
Man, I hated everything about the play. I pretty much hated the fact that the Browns kind of flirted with getting back to their identity, but they continue to show, man, they ain't got an empty set that they don't like. Like, if they can spread out and go empty every single down, they would. You know, earlier this morning, I talked about the Cleveland Browns need to return to their identity. We speculated all week whether or not, you know, Kevin Stefanski has being told to do this or being told to do that. And I said, you know what, to hell with it, because things has gotten so bad. And I feel like unless you change what you're currently doing on the offensive side of the ball, you won't give yourself no opportunity to save your season. The Cleveland Browns has always been best when they're running the football, play action passes, dual tight ends, etc. Like, we done been through the whole saga of why we changed the offense, why we changed coordinators. At the end of the day, it's not working. This was our opportunity to get back to your roots. You've seen the Cleveland Browns have success running the football. The moment that you have some success running the football, what do? You go line up 5 wide again, empty backfield, and you act like this is the wave, that this is what you need to be doing. It's been, 6 games now, and it's been proven week in and week out that this is not who we are, and this is not going to work. We didn't score an offensive touchdown today at all. Another week, you know, no 20-point score by the offense. Another week where we don't have the yardage. Just another week of like disappointing Cleveland Browns football. As far as G being tired of the experiment, listen, I said after last week's postgame show, I didn't think the Browns can go into Philadelphia with both Deshaun Watson as the starting quarterback and Kevin Stefanski as the play caller. I felt like something had to give, and I stand by that going into next week. Will it? Probably not. It seems like that they are married to whatever it is they're doing, and that they're going to just continue this insane path of keep trying it until it works when we all know it's not going to work. I think the Browns fans deserve better. The season is over before we really even got started, and now we're just trying to figure out our way going forward. I think at this point, though, he really do need to consider turning over the play calling to Ken Dorsey, because sometimes, man, you need to put another set of eyes on something, or have a different, just a different feel to see what's going on. Not saying that Dorsey is a better play caller than Kevin Stefanski or anything like that. But what I am saying is, man, Kevin got other things that he need to worry about. Because when you have a team that constantly is shooting themselves in the foot with the penalties, a team that's just constantly making these poor errors and failing to make adjustments in all three phases of football, then yeah, that is on you as the head coach. And I know this is going to sound crazy, man, but if players ain't performing, take them out and put them in for the bench players. And if the bench players ain't on the same level as the starters, well, at this point, who the hell cares? It ain't like whoever been out there been making plays or being productive anyway. But you got to send a message, and you got to try to somehow, some way for the rest of the season, like create a spark in a locker room. You got to find somehow, some way to galvanize these dudes, knowing that 9 times out of 10, they're not going to be playing in the playoffs this year. But you still got to show up and you still got to go to work. So honestly, Kevin Stefanski's job, they got a whole lot harder now.
I want to zag on something you said. You said Cleveland Browns fans deserve better next week, right? So I want to make sure that clarify what you said. Those are your words?
Yeah.
Do you know what Cleveland Browns fans deserve? The chance to voice their displeasure to Kevin Stefanski, to Deshaun Watson, to the rest of this offense when they finally return to Cleveland next week. They haven't been home since the Giants debacle, G. Bush. This is 3 weeks on a row that they've played on the road. against the Eagles, against the Commanders, and in week 4 against the Raiders. There hasn't had a chance for Browns fans, and despite the fact that they travel well, and I know Vegas was more of a home game than anything else, the amount of boos and the level of disgust from the fan base that'll be portrayed onto the team when they take the field next Sunday against the Bengals, I'm not quite sure if it's going to be matched by anything we've seen in recent past, because it's one thing to be bad and get booed. It's another thing to have expectations and fall so short, and for everyone to be disgusted. And it feels like, and I know the Browns don't operate like this, and teams shouldn't operate like this, and actually maybe the Browns do, and that's the issue right now. It feels like fans have earned the right to voice their displeasure in a manner that the Browns can actually hear. And Deshaun said this week, I'm not on social media, I don't hear the news. And Kevin Stefanski said, we block all that stuff out, right? Well, you can't block out, Earl? Boos in the stadium. They don't have noise-canceling AirPods on and headphones. Those don't exist. And it feels like it would be a cop-out move, even if it might be in the best interest of the team, to make these sweeping changes now before they come back home to escape the punishment that they rightfully deserve. And I almost, even just for the sake of it, G, I want to see the reaction when they take the field next week against Cincinnati. Status quo, same play caller, same quarterback, just to see the reaction.
And it's just, I just don't like, the most disrespectful thing is we ain't dumb. Like, I can watch, I watch these other games, man. And I watch the games and you guys, here's the thing. We got two different audiences. When Bernie Kosar come in and tell you what you should be running, you can't tell Bernie he don't know what he's talking about. You can say G. Bush and Earl and McNuggets don't know, we're clowns, whatever the case may be. But every single week I ask Sean King, hey, what do they need to be doing differently in this offense? Every single week I ask Bernie Kosar, what do they need to be doing differently in this offense, what they needed to be on? You know what they echo? The same things that we sit here and say. We say it every single week. So here's the thing. You guys can get mad and upset with us, but you can't get mad and upset with expertise from guys that have literally called plays, that have been coordinators, that have been in coaches, that played at the highest of high levels. And they're sitting here telling you every single week on UCSS, the Cleveland Browns cannot continue to run what they're running and hope to be successful. And every week they do it. And they come out and it's the same result. And my thing is, let them keep doing it. Just let them. At this point, keep doing it. Because I think maybe somebody in the building really thinks that if they punt on this season, because that's what it's saying. If you don't make any changes, that means they don't give a crap about you. They don't give a crap about you, the money you're spending. They don't even really, really ultimately care about wins and losses because they're continually doing the same stuff every week. Same 5 wide, same shotgun, same quarterback, same play callers, same mistakes. But yet and still, that vitriol that we're starting to see, that vitriol is placed on the people that's telling you that. We're just telling you what it is. The Browns are showing you week after week. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to see if Kevin Stefanski makes any changes. He probably won't. We'll see if he turns over play calling. Earl, he probably won't. And the Browns will still continue to trot their starters out there that shoot themselves in the foot and act like there's nothing wrong. When guys jump off sides, do you see anybody on the sideline upset? Do you see any of their teammates upset? Do you see when penalties happen, is anybody gathering guys up to say this is unacceptable? When is have we had the conversation on the sideline where guys are arguing back and forth and fussing and fighting about what happened? We don't see it. You know why? Because whether you believe it or not, your team takes on the identity of your head coach. And your head coach is laid back, non-confrontal, conformist, and he won't make a tough decision to save his life. And he ain't made one yet. And by the way, I keep saying it. The game that everybody want to act like the Cleveland Browns culture changed overnight was a game he was at home with COVID. Let's be clear. What wins, dubs have you seen him get? And it starts at the top and it trickles down. And right now I see a bunch of people that are okay with 1-5. So I'm going to be okay with not caring. All right.
You know what the worst part of the season is for me, G? You can be bad and fun. And like, we get paid to watch the Browns, and we get paid to talk about the Browns. But honestly, I'm about to ask Steve Becker for a raise for doing these post-game shows, because the rate that we are currently getting to watch the product that is on the field is not equal anymore. It was equal when we thought this was going to be a fun product, and it has become the most boring, stagnant, uninspiring offense I can remember in recent history. And from a defensive standpoint, the defense played better today. Myles Garrett, I thought, had an incredible game. The field goal block, the scoop and score. Like, some guys made some really, really terrific plays. Denzel Ward had a couple of nice pass breakups. JOK had a sack and a great stuff on 3rd and 1 play, tackle for loss that set up a 4th down. But at the end of the day, G and Earl, it's hard to watch these games. Like, there is nothing that's enjoyable about the product they're putting on the field. And whether or not it's going to improve to more wins and more success on the field, from a pure visual standpoint, change up something just for the sake of changing up something. Like, do a quarterback change. Bench all your receivers. I mean, hell, is it possible Jamari Thrash and some of the guys we haven't seen play are that much worse than the guys that are out there right now? Amari Cooper had 2 more drops today, and it's hard to draw a direct line between the contract and Amari Cooper's play, but I also don't know how you can figure out anything else. The decline doesn't seem to be that steep in terms of age. He's not that old. So I don't know, G. I'm at a loss for words, and I'm getting to the point where it's just hard to care because it doesn't feel like the team cares. And Earl, I don't know if you get that same impression, but
no, that's exactly. I mean, that's been my vibe for the last couple of weeks. Like, the joke was this week that the Browns broke Earl. No, I just gotten to the point to where, like, I'm just gonna do my job, be a good stewardess over my job, and then once I'm done with anything Browns related, I'll move on to the next part of my day. Like, it's hard to be like emotionally invested in a team that's not invested themselves, right? Like, yeah, we got a job to do, and I'm gonna do my job to the best of my ability. But I'm at the point to where, even as a fan, I need a spark. I need an energy boost. I need to see something different from what I'm seeing already. Give me Jameis. Hell, give me DTR if I'm being all the way real with you.
Give me Jeff Driscoll.
Give me somebody, because at this point, I think that sweeping changes is not just with the staff or in the front office, but a lot of this roster won't be what it is going forward. And I need to know what I got in some of these young dudes that's playing on rookie contracts before I make some decisions this offseason. Now, who's going to be making those decisions this offseason? I don't know, but I think the fans deserve something different. Everybody else in that locker room deserves something different as well. Because if you continue to do what you've been doing for the first 6 weeks, it's already stale. It's going to continue to grow more stale. And then what's going to happen next? You got guys in week 6, man, Mike, that's already probably not motivated. Like, week 7 is next week. How many dudes is going to show up locked in, ready to go play football? They have nothing to play for. And when you put yourself that far behind the 8 ball so far early in the season, like, it's hard to get people revved up to play. It's hard to get people to lock in. It's hard to get people to care. That's why I said, to me, Stefanski's job just got that much harder, because the facts are 9 times out of 10, the Browns are not going to the playoffs. So what do you do to keep the players engaged and locked in? What do you do to keep the fans interested? The only thing that's going to be interesting for the fans next week is that when they get down at Huntington Bank Field, is that Nick Chubb is going to be out there playing football. And they're going to have something to cheer for. And that's what the Browns is going to promo and sell and put videos and reels up all week on. And people are going to be enticed by that. And we're going to end up with the same letdown. So it's like, at this point, you got to give me something different. I know it was preseason, and I'll let y'all respond to this. I know it was preseason. I know it was just one game. But it's like, man, DTR seemed like he has a different type of energy. I'm tired of every time that it's a players-only meeting or we see these videos of people getting hyped up, that is Jameis the one hyping people up. Myles Garrett came out today or this week and said that the defense needed to do more to help out Deshaun Watson in the offense, and that's BS. The defense ain't been dominant. The defense probably ain't been good. It's probably been average or above average. But if you was getting at least average play from the offense in some of these games, that would have been good enough to win. And so when you look at, like, in every level, like, there's just a lot of components to this football team that just ain't right now.
I mean, it's worth saying. I mean, Deshaun Watson was 10 of 10 in the second half. Like, it's worth saying that he played better than second half. But the problem is, it's the consistency. It's the missed throws in the beginning. It's the missed throws and it's the holding the rock and not getting rid of the ball when you can't. I need the whole game like that. It's just the same way, and I'm keeping 100. I say the same thing of Kevin Stefanski. Yeah, you got nice scripted plays in the beginning, but listen, it's few and far between. We need that level to be consistent. And let me just give you this. Let's not act like we didn't have knockdown, drag-out arguments when we had a prime Nick Chubb, and Kevin Stefanski still didn't give him the ball. Like, it was like, oh, we're going to come out of 5 wide when we had prime, not injured Nick Chubb. Like, to me, like, I've said it before, and I've been consistent across the board. When it was 2020, what year did I just ask for Joe Woods to get fired every single week?
It was
that 22?
At least the first year of the show, so 22.
I think
the whole
22.
first year, I asked for him to get fired, right? And Kevin Stefanski waited till the season was over and the Browns were completely done, and then they released him after the season. He didn't like for these other teams, coaches get fired every day in the middle of the season. Kevin Stefanski will not make a strong decision. When Baker Mayfield was hurt, he trotted him out there and tanked the entire season. When I don't understand. I don't get what we people are saying. Deshaun Watson, if he needs to sit down, you guys can't have it both ways. Let me tell you this. If you think Deshaun Watson is horrible, sit him down. Who has the ability to do that?
Jimmy,
you can't. It's either or. If Deshaun Watson sucks and we say, yeah, you know what, he's just playing bad, put Jameis Winston in, but your head coach won't do it. Who does that fall on? Do you think that Kevin Stefanski is a hostage? Because he holds on to the play calling, but anytime something goes wrong, it's the quarterback or the offensive coordinator. It's Dorsey and it's Deshaun Watson. It's the lineman. Anytime something good happens, he gets coach of the year. You can't have it two ways. How you get coach of the year, but the people that work on offense get fired? Get out of here, bro. Stop it. The gymnastics got to quit.
It's because it feels like, and we don't know for a fact, but it feels like it's because it's coming from upstairs. But I do want to point out one thing and at least push it forward to give maybe some semblance of hope. I know the season's lost, but at least something to look forward to next week, G. In that last drive of the game where the Browns got into the red zone, then ended up having the 2 false starts, which were unacceptable penalties once again. Let's just have you can't have those penalties in the red zone. You can't. They went back under center. It was the playbook we saw last year. And it's because, as Earl pointed out earlier, they had success running the ball. In the second half, their success rate running the ball was the highest of any half this season. If they can find a way to add Nick Chubb back into that, and who knows what Nick Chubb will look like in his debut from a gruesome knee injury last year. You're the closest one to knowing how Nick Chubb's recovery would go because you had not a similar injury, but knee injuries from your playing days. If you could get Nick Chubb that is 60% of old Nick Chubb, 70% of old Nick Chubb, that is better than the current stable of running backs the Browns have. And adding a little more effectiveness to the run game, especially on early downs, may open up some of those under center play action shots for Deshaun Watson in this offense that worked on that last drive. But if you're asking me, do I think it's going to work? It'd be crazy to say yes, because literally nothing has worked for this offense through 6 games. You know, on the last 29 drives, Drew, the 29 drives, the Browns have scored 1 touchdown. 29 drives now, they scored 1 touchdown. They went 26 straight third down conversions without converting at one point in this game, had spanning from the first drive of the Raiders game where they converted 3 first downs to the second half of this game. So, no, I don't think it'll work, but at least that's the blueprint, G, of something to kind of hang your hat on and look forward to next week against the Bengals.
Let me get this correct. So y'all remember this? Let me ask y'all a question. And this is a long way of saying, no, he's not going to do that. You remember that game? Do you remember the game that it was like -50? And
they played the Saints.
And we played the Saints.
Yeah.
And they actually had the red rifle, Andy Dalton, playing quarterback. He had a backup in, right?
Yep.
And do you remember that the Cleveland Browns ran Nick Chubb, I believe, somewhere around 12 to 14 times?
I'm going to pull up the box score right now to that game.
Pull that block score. I just want to figure it out so I could put this to bed. I want to be completely 100% clear about this. So the worst game you possibly could throw the football when it was 30-mile-an-hour winds and -62 degrees or something stupid. It was so bad. They said, Pete, they just told people, don't show up to this game. Don't even
Nick,
come.
Nick
And you
Chubb,
had
Nick Chubb had 24 carries that game.
how many times did Deshaun Watson throw the football?
31 attempts. They ran the ball 34 times, passed it 31.
You ran the ball 31. You threw the ball 31 times in the worst weather we've ever seen. And I said, "Are you?" And guess what? I don't know how many times the Saints throw it. They're a dome team, right?
They ran the ball 39 times, threw the ball 15.
So let me get this right. A dome team from New Orleans came
New
into
Orleans.
the game.
From Louisiana.
And they said, you know what? It's cold as hell out here. Let me go ahead and hand the ball. They threw the ball 15 times. Kevin Stefanski says, you know what we're going to do? We're going to drop back Deshaun and get this thing ripping and running. 31 throws. So my answer is, it don't matter who's at quarterback. It don't matter or running back. Stefanski's going to do what he did today. Exactly. He's had a nice track record of showing you what he wants to do.
I'm just trying to put my hat on something to look forward to, G, because frankly, there's not a lot you could hold on to hope for. Nick Chubb coming back, as Earl pointed out. We're going to see over under 53 Nick Chubb hype videos from the Browns' main Twitter account and Instagram account.
Over. I told
you
y'all on the Ultimate 216 show this week. Man, the Browns is good at promo. The Browns is good at selling tickets. The Browns is good at dressing up pigs, putting lipstick on them, and we go out there and kiss them. The one thing that this team is really, really good at is promo. They're going to find a way to get people excited this week. Kevin Stefanski had already told the media the quarterback stays the same. Play calling probably is going to stay the same. Only thing that's going to be different is Nick Chubb is going to be back in the uniform out there for the Cleveland Browns. And somehow, some way, the Browns are going to try to convince us that all is right. And Batman is coming to save the day.
All right. We're going to wrap this up quick today because do you guys have anything else to say? I have one more question for you guys before we get to Super Chats.
No. There's nothing to say.
Gee, I got one last question. We'll get to Super Chats then. I'm going to give you the three, in my opinion, worst plays from today's game. What was the worst? Okay. The 3rd and 1 jet sweep play call to Cedric Tillman. Greg Newsome's effort on the A.J. Brown touchdown on the underneath route where he got picked midfield and then just jogged the last 40 yards.
He's a bust, by the way. He's a bust.
And you can address all three of these plays.
Yeah,
and the third one was the first half Deshaun Watson deep ball that was so underthrown to Jerry Jeudy that two Eagles broke up the pass because they both thought they had an easy interception and collided. So a severely underthrown deep ball, a lackluster effort from Greg Newsome, and really the whole defense. It's not just Newsome, but he ran 40 yards untouched into the end zone, or the play call on 3rd and 1, Winston in jet sweep to Cedric Tillman, and Brandon Graham pointed it out before. G, of those three, how would you rank those from the worst thing we saw today to the least worst?
The Deshaun Watson throw. I'm a listen because you can't miss like that, bro. And he missed one in Njoku like that. I'm gonna start at a middle place. I'm putting that at 2.
Okay. It was underthrown by about 15 yards.
It was I'm putting that at number 2 because that could have been.
Jeudy?
Yeah, where both Eagles collided trying to intercept it. Because
I'm like, where are you throwing the rock, bro?
Yeah.
Like, get up out of here. Like that. I said Jameis Winston last week. I say again, you got the 10-10, but that don't count. Let's get to now. Listen, the only reason this don't count is because I don't think Greg Newsome is good. I think he's a bust. I think he's not. He's a first-round pick, and anytime Denzel Ward come out of the game, it's like his two little brothers, Emerson and Greg Newsome. Anytime Denzel Ward leave, your brother was hard, but what about you? We're going to beat you up after school. Every single time they come out of the game, this guy, Greg Newsome, he's trotting around. He's getting picked on all game. No, I got him only at 3rd just because this is the biggest blunder I've seen. Number 1 overall, it's an easy one. It's easy. A jet sweep to one of your most unathletic, slow, tight end / H-back receivers. He's a tight end. He is a tight end locked in a receiver's body. They need to change his position. They need to
built like A.J. Brown.
Bro, he built his knees. My knees is bad. I'm looking around and he ran that with a straight face, McNuggets. The end around to Ced Tillman with a straight face. And the defensive end was like, hold on. Is y'all about to run? I know you ain't run. Yes, this is Cedric Tillman. Cedric Tillman is coming over. I know they didn't, and they didn't block me. I'm like, get up out of here. This is it's comical. I can't even get mad at it, Earl. I can't get
I'm not.
I can't get mad.
I'm not, bro. I'm not.
You couldn't run that play on Madden, McNuggets. Like end around, nobody in the world would ever run an end around on Madden with
you know
Cedric
how Madden,
Tillman.
like when you hit the back and it showed like the screen and it got the red and the green, like it was red. Ain't nothing that way that's gonna be successful. And you definitely got the wrong player to be running that with. But hey, it is what it is.
Oh my God!
Did you rank it the same way, Earl?
Yeah, I got it the same way, man. We can go ahead and read them super chats, bro.
All right, we're gonna say
Same
goodbye
way.
to our Bleacher Report audience before we get into some super chats. If you want to check out the super chats, you could head over to our YouTube page, the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and we appreciate Bleacher Report for giving us this platform. We'll see you guys next Sunday for our Bleacher Report postgame show.
Peace.
Okay, now for some super chats. Back to StreamYard here. We have 19, which shows you, by the way, we had 63 last week. We have 19 today, which just goes to show you the
Checked out.
aesthetic level from fans of it's hard to keep caring when the team puts out the efforts they have. First one comes from Nicole D. We started with Super Bowl aspirations. Now we're 1-5. Everybody's job should be on the line, including the front office and coaches. 100% agree with that assessment. P. Rothstein 216 says, it's not disappointing they refuse to draft talent and go out and get free agents to get playmakers. AB can't draft living off Dorsey's selections. I mentioned this the other day. Is the only offensive starter that Andrew Berry has actually drafted, is that Jed Wills? Is that the only offensive starter that he has drafted himself in 4 years?
He drafted Cedric Tillman, but he don't start.
He don't start.
He
starts because of injury, but he's not a real starter.
Yeah, he
Is
drafted
Jed Wills the
Nick
only
Harris. He don't
legitimate-
start.
Isn't that crazy? 4 drafts and you have one starter on the entire side of the ball.
Man, we started bringing Andrew Berry under the microscope 2 weeks ago. I'm
Man,
gonna leave it at that. So like seeing that didn't do anything for me. Like we've been saying that you pretty much inherited a John Dorsey team and you've done nothing to add on to it. We literally just made those points. Like maybe everybody else is just starting to see it, but I think Wills is the only one, and Wills is clearly not good.
he's just. I mean, he is one of the worst. And by the way, I mean, DeJuan Jones might not even be good. I mean, it's one of those things where, now Project Stockpile. Listen, I just want you to just take when we go into the off season. I know y'all think that I'm out there a little bit, but Project Stockpile is actually a real thing now. Maybe you guys will say, you know what, G. Bush, we do need receivers that run faster than 4.6. Maybe we do. And maybe y'all gonna have to start dipping and getting guys that are electric, that are playmakers. I don't care nothing about no big body. Big body. Peoples Jones, big. You can't run. These dudes run like tight ends.
Last
what are
year,
you talking about?
Last year before DeAndre Hopkins ended up in Tennessee, I remember me and G kind of like saying, yeah, man, we need to probably go take a look at DeAndre Hopkins. And people was getting mad at us. And you know what they told us? The Browns got Donovan Peoples-Jones. Do better. That's exactly what they said. They even said that basically because, he got busted for steroids, that what he did in his entire career was a fluke. And that you can argue that DPJ had a better season than him. So, like, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy how, like, people be having these notions that what we have is good enough. But they drink whatever the Browns pour them to drink. So it is what it is.
The development of some of these guys has just left so much to be desired too. It's not just a lack of talent to begin with, but I mean, DPJ with 800 yards has been their most successful developmental receiver yet.
And he's not even in the league.
And the highlight of his career was Earl saying he'd trade him for Aaron Donald. Like Earl putting him in a trade package with Aaron Donald is the best thing that's ever happened to DPJ, which goes to show you what the level of DPJ is. Call Dog 330 says, can we trade Newsome for a washing machine? SG says, if this front office had any balls, they'd bench Watson already. This game was so winnable. I think the last statement of that is the most important part of the entire statement. This game was in their hands. The Eagles were not good, and the Browns just couldn't find a way to take a winnable game that was handed to them on a platter for a dub.
I got the person that sent that super chat. I would tell you this. He said if the front office had any balls, they'll bench Deshaun Watson. How are you absolutely sure that the front office wants to bench Deshaun Watson? Something to think about.
Or if they have the
Because
talent.
notice he said the front office, not the head coach. Like, how are you sure that the front office even wants to bench Deshaun Watson?
Or can. They may have the balls to do it and aren't allowed. We'll see.
So I just think, like, I mean, that's an assumption. I get it. But, yeah, just something else to think about.
Shador Sanders or Cam Ward from D. Grat. I'd take Shador. If it was up to those two, give me Shador.
Yeah.
Let me tell you something right now. You better quit. Shador said, look, we got Let's talk about the Browns fan base a little bit. Don't get mad. Don't get salty. What we want in Cleveland is somebody to get under center and don't talk and don't celebrate and we, God forbid, their father say something. You think people in Cleveland gonna deal with prime time?
Prime example. Somebody just said Shador is garbage. I don't know who this person is, but that's a prime example. They said Shador is garbage. So and you know where they getting that from? Because his daddy is prime time, and because he talks a lot, and because he's flashy.
And he does this. And he does. They already homing in on the celebration. Name one name that has ever come here. Boy, Odell Beckham Jr. had clown shoes on.
Yeah, they like squares, bro. They like squares.
Listen, they'll be on Carson Beck tomorrow. Give me Beck.
Well,
that's what we want.
My point is, if it's between Sanders and Ward, give me Sanders.
Ward is nice too.
So I go way back with Cam. Cam played at Incarnate Word. He was a 0-star recruit from a little Texas high school. Played at Incarnate Word before he went to Washington State. Remember we had Casey Keeler on last year, the Sam Houston coach. He coached Joe Flacco at Delaware back in the day. So he was my guy back in Texas. And Sam Houston and Incarnate Word were the two best teams in the Southland Conference. And I got to do this whole story on how the Bearcats were scouting to face Incarnate Word and their freshman All-American quarterback, Cam Ward. Do you know what Cam Ward's really good at, G? Extending plays and making something out of nothing. Do you know what is also Cam Ward's biggest downfall? Thinking he could extend anything and turn it into something.
Let me throw this out here.
If I have to see another quarterback in a Browns uniform try and extend something and turn into disaster, I know Shador can do it. That's Cam Ward's bread and butter. And it's what makes him special. But I don't know if I can live through that heart attack roller coaster every week again for 17 weeks of season.
So I'm going to just show you. Listen, we're going to do it in real time. 2,815 people in here. Hit that like button. If you feel like Shador Sanders, the local media, and Browns fans will get together and be able to happily coexist.
Oh, no.
Put one in there.
Listen, I'm not saying Shador is my pick. I'm just saying between Shador and Cam, I would take Shador.
If you believe that the Cleveland fan base will not deal with Coach Prime, does not want nobody celebrating, and does not want a quarterback that runs around, push 0. So if you think it can work, give me the ones. If you're like, nah, we ain't doing that, give me a 0. We'll figure out what it's going to be.
Give it a 2. Zeros don't register. Give it
all right, 2. Give me 2.
1 for it'll work, 2 for it won't.
2 for it won't.
P. Rothstein says Stefanski has to be the worst 2-time coach of the year in the history of the league. He is situationally unaware and his play cards are archaic. Charles T. said, I'm tired of seeing Newsom's helmet too big. #bobblehead. Charles also says, it looks like today was a back to Stefanski offense, which had effective running and some bad play calling, but better than the Dorsey crap. Better is such a relative term because it was still terrible. Technically, it was better in some aspects, but they didn't score a touchdown. So better than terrible is still bad. Charles T. said you can't call on Tillman for big plays. He dropped the one against the Giants, I believe, was at the Giants game on 4th down. Right between the numbers at the Giants game, I think it was. And then today, 2 chances to make a big play. 0 for 2. Stefanski won't survive till the end of the season anyway, according to Charles Douglas, CHF. May as well toss it, go to Vrabel till the end of the season and see if it changes. Then still don't really know what Vrabel's day-to-day role is, but hasn't had the impact we thought. DB Dog 21 says Stefanski has been horrible, but that jet sweep was actually a check by Jameis. Hard count showed the linebacker filling the A-gap, so he checked, but that was a horrible play to check to. New offense is a failure. I didn't pick up on that in real time. G, did you? Earl, did you? Was it a check? I'll be honest. I didn't pick it up on it in real time.
I'm just watching. Be honest. I'm just hearing it. I'm just watching these twos come through.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, you get mad at G. Bush if you want. I keep it real, man. Listen, if you want, ain't nobody being honest with you like this, bro. These twos is why I told you the two. They like, no. We're not gonna be here doing that. They're not doing that. We done been through. What's his name? Money Manziel.
They don't need that, man. Listen,
we had Baker. Then we had Deshaun.
He got swag. They not dealing with nobody who got swag. They not dealing with nobody that's loud. They not dealing with nobody who's
celebrations.
Father who celebrates. Like
they not doing with none of that.
No, don't nobody want to deal with that. And because of all that other stuff, people are going to tell you that on the football field he sucks. So,
all right. Next super chat comes from Catfish and Hot Sauce. Baker put up 37. Joe Flacco put up 20. Kevin Stefanski is trash. He was back home in Philly, and all this dude can draw up is 16 points. Fire everybody. Charles T said, the only one showing they're upset with false starts, bad route running, holding calls, and drops is Watson and Jameis. ... Clee says, Rodney McLeod is tied for the team lead in touchdowns, which is factual and hard to believe. Catfish and Hot Sauce says, Stefanski's an offensive coordinator. I doubt he can do that. This offense is putrid. Jason Lloyd lied. Nobody's hiring this guy. Aggie Fury 101 says, nah, bro, blow this ish up today. Charles T said the Browns are second in cap space. Front office has no excuse for not backing changes, not getting receivers, not getting offensive linemen. Is this sabotage? I know part of the reason they have the cap space is they're trying to roll it over to next year to factor in for some of the cap hits that will happen when these extensions kick in, but they have the opportunities to get players.
Let me tell you this. Somebody said this, and I think me and Earl was doing our radio show, and somebody said, and I forget who said it. They talked about the fact. No, I was on with Nick Wilson in the afternoon drive, and the Eagles guy said, "There's no way that they can move on from Deshaun Watson because Deshaun Watson's contract is the reason, and the ability for them to be able to punt it down the road is the reason they're able to fund and pay other players. The second he's not there, that contract becomes a handcuffing situation in which you no longer have that contract to kind of manipulate and play with and get front money and give it to him. Now you're on the clock now if he'd be not there. So there's a lot, and I would be interested, McNuggets, if we can find a capologist or somebody that says, what people say, cut him all the time, just cut him, get rid of him. What are the ramifications of the cap if they decide to just strictly cut him or send him away? What does that look like for next year?
Well, it'd be, I can look it up right now. It'd be the Denver Broncos, Russell Wilson situation where they just eat the money. So next season for 2025, you ready for this number, G?
Let's go ahead.
He just laughed. He just laughed.
He has a dead cap hit of $172,700,000 next season.
So what does that do for their cap space?
On the books, it would count for $99,799,000. So it would count for essentially half their cap if they cut him next year.
Could you feel the team?
Let me clarify. That is to my basic knowledge of the cap.
Okay.
You're right, G. We should actually get someone who knows for sure.
Right.
But my basic understanding of how to read an over the cap chart.
Because I want to give them what I want to do is to show you that I'm just not trying to be everybody. He's on Watson's payroll. I just want to see so all of y'all can look and say, you put yourself in a position in the front office. If you don't think he's good and you want to cut him, go ahead. Here's what you're left with. Now, if I'm looking at half of his money for him to sit at home is roughly 50% of your cap space. How do you feel the team?
Yeah, and once again, please do not quote me on that exact.
Don't quote us,
but it's
rudimentary.
Something, yeah, it would cost a lot. And I know the Broncos this year operating with like $50 million in dead cap from the Russell Wilson deal. So, and they didn't restructure Russell the same way the Browns have. That's why that number's gotten so high, is because the Browns have restructured the deal twice. But let's keep going. The Bottom Line Sports Show says it won't matter if he sits Deshaun. Kevin thinks he's smarter than everyone. Kevin and Barry need to go. Daniel Congrove says, I want a Manning on a Browns jersey. Archie. X Factor 2005 said,
Earl, what's wrong? What's wrong, Earl? What happened? You seem just despondent because of that.
You don't want Arch
So
Manning?
what? Go a whole nother season with the Browns being like crap just to possibly get Arch Manning in 2026 because the Haslams know the Mannings, etc. Okay.
I'd rather, if you don't believe in any of the quarterbacks, I'd rather not force it, though. I'll say that. I think trying to force a quarterback into a situation just because you feel like you have to take a quarterback sets franchises back more than taking a tackle or a receiver. But we can get that discussion another time. Stefanski says they're going to stick with Watson as quarterback. Just a heads up. X Factor told us that. Zach Jackson, Mary Kay both tweeted it. Zoe's father says if Stefanski's let go after the season, who's your first phone call to? For the Browns. I have to wait to see what guys are available.
The guy that's posted up in the building right now. What do you mean?
Vrabel?
Mike Vrabel. I didn't already send him an email. Hey, if it all goes wrong, make sure this is on the dark server. Make sure
Dear Mike Vrabel. How are you today?
Well, Jackson Dart over Cam Ward and Shador. Rick Stanfield says, I've seen squirrels with bigger arms than Greg Newsome. This dude gets toasted every week. BM Brown says Shador is so underrated. The next Joe Burrow. Cliffhanger 13 says Newsome should never line up against a number one receiver again. Knuckle Brew says, I bought Sunday ticket to watch Browns games in Mississippi. Now we're talking first-round quarterbacks at week 6. It's a dumpster fire, family. God bless. Oh, my goodness, says Sanders got swag, but you don't know what he don't got to win versus any relevant team. Neither does Cam Ward. He barely beat the University of Cal. Just a couple more. Ben Broski says, fire Stefanski, Vrabel, interim head coach. We got 5 more here. BM Brown 17 says, G. Bush, if Sanders is winning, he'll be worshipped in Cleveland. Filming him is great. Mark my words, will be a good NFL quarterback.
I didn't say he wouldn't. I'm just telling you what the opposition is saying.
Catfish and Hot Sauce says, confident in black. They hate that in Cleveland. James B says, boycott all remaining home games. Let Haslam field in his pocketbook. Letter campaign to NFL to relieve Haslam family of ownership. Good luck. Cats are cool, says Browns are already the worst team in the league on several levels. It's going to be a long season. Buckle up. 2 more here, and then we are done. P. Rothstein says the Browns have a teenage offense, which means they're going to score 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, or 19. And that's it. But my friends, that is totally unacceptable on every level. And last but not least, James Cosby says, nope, all these guys need to deal with the adversity. And that's going to wrap it up for a depressing Browns postgame show. The Browns suck.
Go Guards.
The Bengals next week at home. And Bull is live on his YouTube channel. If you want to go listen to Bull rant about the same stuff we did, head over to Bull's YouTube channel. We'll see you tomorrow on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, where we're talking Guardians for more than half the show because they deserve.
Somebody buy Lane Thomas a beer.
Yeah, man.
I'll never buy a beer in Cleveland again.
Go
How
Guardians.
about Lane Thomas, by the way? Hey, we'll talk about tomorrow on the Ultimate
Go
Cleveland
Guardians, man.
Go Guardians, man.
Game
Go
1
Guardians.
preview.
Later.